The doctor and Fire sat in front of the...
"Excuse me, I'll just put that out,"
says Fire, and does. "Thank you," says the doctor. "I didn't know where to look." There is a silence between them, apart from Fire gently crackling away in his chair, the flames licking at the edges of his neat black suit. The doctor sits in the other chair, simply waiting. Finally, Fire speaks. It's 4 in the morning. I'm not sure, to be honest, what day it is anymore. I'm hovering somewhere between asleep and awake, but still pottering around the flat. The rash is still itching and raw. I've bathed it, I've oiled it, and now I'm waiting for the next pill to take effect. It's what I've done all week since this infernal thing started. I'm getting used to staring out onto the estate, watching nothing happen in the courtyard until dawn, and then I'll sleep until the pill wears off, and then it'll start all over again. I go to make myself a cup of tea and then think, sod it, and head for the drinks cabinet. I've been working my way through duty-free novelties and party leftovers. Is it time for a cheeky creme de menthe? I settle down in the window seat, reading a day's old paper and sipping and trying not to scratch. I can feel my head start to nod and my eyelids start to flutter. The pill is taking merciful effect. As I drift off, my eyes wander over the courtyard. The garden of trees with a few swings and benches. This is normally the time that the squirrels start to make their rounds. I'll often see Margaret out there too. She's always up early, walking her enormous dog before starting one of her 3 jobs. Sometimes I'll see one of the kids creeping home late across the lawn, furtive and giggly, and I'll think, when did that stop being me? I see none of these things this morning. Instead, standing proudly in the center of the garden is a unicorn. I bloody love these pills, I think, and then I fall asleep. It's 4 in the morning again. Today's exotic little beverage is some kind of Hungarian thing. There's a picture of peaches on the bottle, but I'm unconvinced. It tastes of soap and makes me cough violently, which takes my mind off the burning sensation in my arms, so it's not all bad. I curl up in the window seat, waiting for the pill to knock me out. I look across the estate. Sadly, there's no sign of the unicorn, but I didn't expect there to be. There are just a few squirrels running quickly out of a hedge. As I watch, one of them is jerked back and vanishes into the hedge. There's a frantic shaking of the leaves. I wonder if it's my cat out hunting, but doubt it. Marmaduke's far too lazy. I doze a little. There's an early warmth in the air and it's starting to feel like summer. I've always felt the hours of dawn are the most magical of the day, when anything can happen, as no one is around to see it. I open my eyes and on the lawn is a bird. It's almost like a peacock but with shining feathers and a giant head, inquisitive and fantastical. It looks like an old drawing come to life. As I watch, a man creeps from behind a tree and towards the bird. He's like a smarter version of the man who lives at number 43, who has a ponytail, smelly dog, and no furniture. Tweed trousers, velvet coat, and flowing curls. Bless. Maybe works at the university, although he's offering the bird bread, which puts him down among the lonely pigeon feeders. He throws a slice of bread towards the bird. It opens its beak and a jet of flame shoots out. Despite my surprise, I hear the man say, "Toast." I laugh, which is when he turns around and looks directly up at me. "Good morning," he says. I was surprised when the doorbell rang, even more surprised to find the strange man at my door. Handsome and neat and kind, he doesn't look real, like a magician from a child's storybook. "Good morning," I say. He smiles, and it's a wonderful smile. "I'm the doctor," he says. "May I come in?" I let him. Normally I'm a bit cautious on the estate, but I'm so full of pills that if I jumped up and down I'd probably rattle, and that Hungarian stuff is giving me a lovely glow. I hope I don't pass out, then hours later find he's cleared out the flat. I offer him a drink and he insists on tea. We settle down in the living room. He chooses a chair where he can watch the garden. There's an air about him. A little older, and with a decent haircut, he'd be perfect casting for an ad campaign featuring an early 40s business leader in a top-of-the-range 4x4. It's his eyes. Or maybe it's my drink. I can't help but think that he seems so genuine and caring, and oddly for his age, so wise. He's certainly not in any hurry. "So," he says, "trouble sleeping?" "Can't sleep," I explain. I show him an arm, all red and blistered. It's some kind of allergic reaction, like sunburn. Covered in it. Had it for a week or so. My GP's baffled. Just stuffed me full of pills and told me it should go away eventually. They knock me out, but the itch comes back. The doctor looks at it sympathetically, but also critically. He holds his hand over it, as though trying to work out how warm it is. He makes a serious little noise, and then tuts. "Try not to scratch it," he says. "I promise I'm doing my best not to, but it's, burning." "Yes, I can guess," he says sadly. "But just don't, really." "Okay," I laugh, thinking he sounds like my mother. "Now," he says, sipping his tea and looking at the garden, "what have you seen out there?" I tell him about this morning, seeing him and the bird that breathed fire, and then I mention yesterday's unicorn. He's interested. More, he believes me, even though I don't believe me, mostly. "Did you get a really good, close look?" he says. "No, I was just dozing off. I didn't really believe it when I saw it." The doctor nods. "I'm sure you did. I'm just wondering what it was made of. My firebird has flown, but shall we see if we can find your unicorn?" He smiles as if this is completely normal for him. I start to suspect that this doctor could be merely humoring me, but I see the grin in his face and his eager eyes. Suddenly it all feels like the start of an exciting adventure. I shake off the urge to doze. We put down our drinks and head to the garden. On the way, we meet Margaret, waddling past with her dog. "Morning, doctor," she says, smiling. Margaret would know him. She knows everyone. She's a tiny woman, but as wide as she is tall, always in a black puffer jacket that makes her look like a jolly Christmas pudding. The doctor leans down and pats her enormal hound. It looks at him with love and delight, and then runs off to lick some railings. Margaret laughs and walks off with a wave. "Fascinating woman," he says as we walk into the garden. I'm standing there in an old t-shirt and pajama trousers, feeling the wet grass through my slippers. The doctor stands beside me, perfectly still. He's breathing deeply, a big smile on his face. In the corner of the sky, day is just starting to break. There's a little chill in the air, and even a touch of mist. "Perfect," I say. "Thank you for bringing me here. Look at the dew on the grass. I could run through it barefoot." "I wouldn't." The doctor's voice is sharp. "I really wouldn't. For one thing, Margaret's forgot her pooper scooper again. And then there's the danger of... well, just keep off the grass." He smiles. We stand still. If I weren't so puzzled by what I've seen the last 2 mornings, I'd say I was getting bored. But then the firebird emerges, stepping out from the lengthening shadows behind a beech tree. It has a nervous, sideways walk, like someone edging on stage. We stay completely still, riveted by the arrival of this truly fantastic creature, with its glistening wings and fearsome claws. It ignores us, pecking away at the grass, making contented little noises to itself. It is the most beautiful thing I have ever seen, but I know it can't be real. "Look closely," suggests the doctor, whispering. "Tell me what you see." I do, squinting at its wonderful, shining feathers, its perfectly sculpted torso, its noble beak, its impressive eyes, and... The doctor edges half a step closer to me. "Look harder." And I suddenly see what's wrong. That long neck, it's the body of a squirrel, joined onto several pigeon breasts, spreading out into the torso of a small dog. And that plumage, it's an elaborately fanned-out mixture of pigeon feathers and strips of colored tinfoil. Someone has stuck this creature together, but it's walking and pecking and emitting happy little puffs of flame. "What?" I ask the doctor. It's all I can think of saying. He just smiles. "I'll tell you tomorrow. It's nearly over now. For some reason, the magic ends with dawn." As he speaks, the sunrise gently arrives in the courtyard. The firebird looks up from grilling a worm and steps neatly back into the shadows of a tree. There's a rustle of the hedge, and it's gone. The doctor turns to me. "Time for you to go to bed. Sweet dreams. And remember, don't scratch." I leave him in the garden, watching the sunrise. We have tea in the garden the next morning. I brought a little flask and 2 fold-out chairs. The doctor seems delighted. He sits playing with something he says is a screwdriver, but looks like an old camping torch. I don't remember seeing you on the estate before, I say carefully. I've been around. He makes a vague gesture, pouring himself some more tea. I suppose you could say I'm a new arrival. A little smile. The world sometimes throws out strange things, and I spend my time fighting them, I ask, amused. He shakes his head. Fight? No, not really. Putting things back to normal. Although sometimes normal's a bit dull, don't you think? I think to myself that the doctor is quite a strange creature himself, perfectly at ease on a deck chair as we wait for the rise of the phoenix. We smile and sit there for a few minutes, just enjoying the peace in the garden. Once he finishes his second cup of tea, he points in the direction of the hedge. I have something to show you. We head over and he pushes aside the bits of hedge to reveal something lying there. What is it? I ask. The remains of the unicorn, he explains. I look, and at first glance all I can see is some old scraps of bone and toilet paper. And then I see the shape, and the horn. A weird fusion of bone and Kometo wrapper. Blimey, I say. The doctor nods. And? The doctor grins. Shall we go upstairs and I'll tell you? And we do. And he does. And I don't believe him. Well, not at first. You've heard of talking books? He asks. Of course. I'm wondering where this is going. Well, imagine thinking books. Imagine a travel guidebook that knows exactly where you want to go and tells you how to get there, picking out just the kind of restaurants that you like, calling ahead to get you a great hotel deal, tickets to the theater, and even helping translate what the locals are saying. Wow, I say. That's a great idea. Isn't it? He says, grinning with delight. His face falls, suddenly grave. Well, someday, someone will have it. And it turns out to be a terrible idea. Why? I ask. What I want to ask, what the hell are you on about? The books are too intelligent, too smart. They're always doing that with artificial intelligences. Normally it doesn't matter if your vacuum cleaner's a bit smart, but the books become sentient, convinced their contents are factually correct, and start physically altering things they don't agree with at a genetic level. They cause havoc if left lying around, which is what people are always doing with books, sadly. What does that mean? I ask, when I want to say something a lot coarser. Abandoned books with overactive imaginations and nothing to occupy their minds start to change the world. Perhaps that building isn't as tall as it should be. Those flowers aren't the right shade of blue. Perhaps there are just more people than there should be. And right then I know it's true. He looks at me straight on, as if challenging me to call him a liar, a fraud, a con man, when he can never be any of those things. This is the truth, and the idea of thinking books spirals in my already overactive imagination. Oh my God, how do they stop it? After the first editions, they're hurriedly reprinted with a health warning stamped on the cover. Please do not lose this book. But it was too late. I am both amused and alarmed. And what happened? The publishers were accused of illegal terraforming and genetic warfare. Avoiding bankruptcy, they issued an enormous product recall, cancelled the range, and corralled all the books into a staggeringly secure vault where they could argue with each other about the nature of reality. Unfortunately, occasionally, one of the books escapes. One moment it's there, and you know exactly where you put it. The next, it could be anywhere in space and time. What? I say, laughing. My arm is burning again, so I risk a quick scratch, but the doctor shoots me a stern look. There is a sudden noise from the hall, and the doctor stiffens, but it's just my cat, pottering in after a long night of mystery. He looks quietly between us, and then settles down on a cushion. The doctor relaxes. Oh, he says. For a minute there I worried it might be... Oh, never mind. The book coming to get you, I tease. He shrugs and nods simultaneously. Something like that. So what you're saying is that one of these books has escaped and is making merry in the garden? The doctor nods gravely. Oh yes, I'm very serious. It's a bestiary of legendary and magical creatures. An insane notion for a thinking book, and only one copy has ever been published. But it's escaped from the vault and it's about to put the world to rights, or so it thinks. I laugh, finding life fun again. There's nothing more dangerous than a book with ideas, says the doctor.
I can't agree,
says the cat. We stop and look at the cat. Unblinking, it looks back.
I speak for the book,
he says simply. I'm astonished, but the doctor just smiles. How do you do? A talking cat, amazing. He is genuinely enchanted. But how? I ask. It feels like an obvious question, but it needs asking. Marmaduke shrugs, a tiny catty movement.
When we went sunbathing together, the book reached out to me and I agreed to speak for it.
He looks at the doctor and then me.
I've been watching both of you closely.
I see. The doctor leans forward, crouching down slightly so that he is at the cat's eye level. You understand that the bestiary isn't real, that the book is making creatures that have never existed, that it's using real lives to do this. Marmaduke yawns.
Oh, that's true enough, but I don't really care. Some of the smaller ones were quite tasty. The book says that it has nearly finished creating the catalogue. I believe that once that has been done, it can rest. And I really do understand the value of a good sleep.
He yawns again, stretches out his forepaws, and shuts his eyes. The doctor is both worried and delighted. It's nearly complete, is it? The heat is on. Something we regret. Do you know, I've never quite caught the second line. Anyway, the heat is on. He beams. I am torn between an urge to listen to the doctor and to stroke the cat. If Marmaduke says it's nearly finished, what harm is there? Can we not just let this book knock up a couple more weird things and then retire? The doctor shakes his head. No. We have to find that book and stop it. I have a shrewd idea of the contents. Believe me, the monsters only get bigger and nastier. Someone could get hurt. Well, what are we going to do? I ask, pottering to the kitchen and pouring myself a fairly stiff measure. When I return, the cat is fast asleep, and the doctor is gone. The cat wakes me early. I can feel my skin burning worse than ever. The urge to scratch is overwhelming. Marmaduke shakes his head.
He's coming back,
he says, and hops down from the bed. I lie there, dozing, listening to the steady crunching of cat biscuits from the kitchen. Eventually, exhaustedly, I throw off the covers and open the front door. Ah, says the doctor. For a man who's been waiting outside, he looks almost caught out. He puts his little screwdrivery wand away and smiles. Good morning. You're up early. Marmaduke told me it was time to get up, I explain. They realize what I've just said, and it makes my brain melt a little. The doctor simply nods, and as his hair shifts, I'm almost certain I can hear an odd rustling of paper. Ah, well, we should hurry. The game's somewhat afoot. He frowns and looks carefully at his hands, as though baffled by what he's just said. Come on. I follow him down the stairs. To be fair, I didn't expect the dragon. It bears down on us, breathing fire and tearing up vast chunks of lawn with its terrifying claws. The doctor pushes me hurriedly behind a burning bench and lies next to me, panting with surprise and exhaustion as a fireball shoots over our heads. I see what you mean, I shout. That's an actual dragon! I reach for my phone. Calling the fire brigade? He asks. No, taking a picture! I reach out with the phone, carefully. I can hear the dragon close by, pawing up the turf and breathing like a rattling coal scuttle. Give me that, snaps the doctor, almost childishly grabbing the phone off me. Didn't get a proper look at it earlier, on account of my hair being on fire. We both peer at the picture on my phone, till the doctor drops it sadly to the floor. I was worried more people would get hurt, he sighs. The most remarkable thing about the dragon was not that it existed. It was that it had the head of Margaret's poor dog, wings made from old umbrellas, and the rotund body that had once belonged to Margaret herself. This stops now, says the doctor. I say nothing. I'm torn between the sickening sight in the garden and my cat watching me from the window, cleaning itself carefully. Where does the flame come from? I ask. Page 178, says the doctor. To many people, fire was a living creature. The doctor and Fire sit opposite each other.
How do you feel it's gone?
Asks Fire. The doctor shrugs, seeming oblivious to the dancing light and the sound of crackling paper. Well, it seems too easy to say that I always knew it'd be you and me at the end. Fire gestures with a lazy arm.
It's always been us though, hasn't it? I was there whenever you needed me. I was there for you at the Cave of Skulls, Pudding Lane, and all those churches and peace conferences. I've been there. Good old fire. But did you never think there was a time when I might need you?
The doctor smiles a quiet smile. Not really. I never considered you were alive. I still don't. Fire stood, towering over the long-haired man, angry flames burning at the edges of his jacket.
Did you never think that one day I would present you with my bill for services rendered?
He reaches out a hand for the man who sits complacently in his chair. Fire, I laugh. But that's an element, isn't it? It's not alive. And it's not really an element, the doctor replies, dragging me away from the bench, which is glowing cherry pink under the dragon's breath. But to the book, it's merely something to create. He pats frantically at the smoking tail of his jacket. And I assure you that it does a very good job. The two of us leap over a hedge, which bursts into flame. The doctor pulls out the tiny torchy thing and starts to fiddle with it. If I can only target the frequency at which the bonds are made, perhaps I can reduce it back to its component parts. Aha! He points the torchy thing. It emits a feeble glow. Nothing happens. The dragon snorts derisively. We are already running for cover behind a bin when the dragon spreads out its terrible wings and starts to flap, fanning belch after belch of flame as it lifts off the ground. We are in so much trouble, I yell. To be honest, I say something else quite different. The doctor shakes his head calmly, and instead starts using his screwdriver wand on the door to the tool shed. He throws me inside onto a pile of brass clippings and seizes the lid from an old bin, holding it like a shield. I rather think it's a matter of proximity, he mutters, which could be tricky. He grabs a rake and hurriedly ties his wand to it with twine until it looks a little like a spear. He appears to be humming an old hymn to himself, you know, the one about knights being no more and the dragons being dead. He advances out, a man ready to slay the dragon, soaring above him like an old monster from a myth, which it is, of course. A flock of pigeons gives the doctor a few extra seconds, the birds' plump, roasted bodies falling around him like hot coals. And then the dragon, with the head of a dog, turns his attention back to him, roaring like a beast. The doctor doesn't have a sword or armor, just a bin lid and that old rake. He calmly extends the rake, and there is a tiny sound at the very edge of hearing. The dragon shrugs with its wings, beating him to the ground. It spits flame around him, roaring as it prepares for the kill, its claws of old chicken bones scouring the pavement. It laughs the dragon's laugh, preparing to wrap the tiny man in fire, and then falls wetly into a pile of bits. There is silence. I crawl out from the lightly smoldering pile of grass clippings as the doctor picks himself up, dusting pigeon feathers from his clothes. He is laughing. I think we've reached the end of a chapter, he says. My cat leans out the window.
Oh, well done, Doctor. I say that's pretty much the end of the book.
It's not quite. Reader, I married him, but it'll have to do. The doctor bows. And where is the book? Marmaduke scratches idly at an ear.
Oh, it's buried about 3 feet under the beech tree, and it's very, very disappointed.
Thank you, says the doctor, smiling. You can always rely on a cat to be on the winning side. He turns back to me. There wouldn't be a spade somewhere in that shed, would there? The doctor returns upstairs shortly afterwards, one of his jacket pockets bulging. The cat trots across the living room towards us, mildly interested. The doctor watches me pour a dry sherry and smiles. I wish you wouldn't scratch, he says, handing me a couple of pills. These will help with the itching. I suspect it's all down to the book, but your GP will probably say it's an allergic reaction. Oh well, no more sunbathing on the grass, just in case. Whatever you do, take lots of baths, apply plenty of calamine lotion, and please don't scratch. Really. His words don't help. Every inch of my skin is hot and red and it itches. Trying to ignore it, I sip my sherry and let the cat jump onto my lap.
Wake me when it's breakfast,
he says. I close my eyes briefly. When I open them, hours later, the doctor is gone. Fire stands over the door, flames spitting out from his collar.
I've always been there, Doctor. Your constant companion.
The doctor shrugs. I always worry the world will end in fire. Again, there is a rustle of paper. Fire reaches out, a burning hand almost touching the doctor. He doesn't back away.
One day,
Says Fire.
you will ask me to burn everything. That's going to cost.
Really? The doctor seems amused. You seem the type to rather enjoy your work. Fire crackles dangerously, a smile on his cruel features.
Destruction is a good job. You should know.
In fact, says the doctor reasonably, I don't quite understand why you should want to harm me if I've given you so much pleasure. Fire pauses, almost uncertain, and then grins like a lantern.
I am fire. I bring death.
Ah, yes, says the doctor sadly. I thought you might say something like that. He shifts in his chair, and again comes a faint noise of paper. Fire rubs his hands, an action that throws off sparks into the corners of the room.
Come now, Doctor. Are you ready for the final confrontation?
The doctor stands, a neat man, smiling his sad smile. I will be an easy victory for you, Fire, and something of a disappointment.
Explain.
Demands Fire. Ah, says the doctor. His eyes look suddenly old and tired. I'm not quite what you think I am. I'm in the book, too. Quite an early entry, and there's not that much detail, but it seems to have made a decent enough doctor, using that poor man from number 43. To be honest, I'm not even sure that I'm that good a copy. And this is where it ends, he adds, looking at his delicate hands. The doctor's not real, but wouldn't it be amazing if he were? I'm simply something thought up by the book, another magical, mythical creature. And with that, he sits down again. We both are, I'm afraid. There is silence except for the gently threatening flicker of burning embers from Fire. The doctor folds his arms. The rustle of creasing papers is unmistakable. Fire is furious with the truth and closes in on the doctor. There is time for the doctor to say one last thing. Ah, well, I did tell you not to scratch.